Woohoo, okay. And video 5 for January 28th, 2019. Again, as always, the January 22nd videos, 1 through 3, pretty much cover the whole warning, permissions, find professional help if you need professional help, etc. In pretty good depth, but as always, I'll just say you watch at your own risk. I'm not a therapist of any kind. I'm a long-term mental health practitioner, reading some material and giving that I've taken and giving my experience and my take on it, which, as far as I know, I still have permission to do that, and it hasn't been revoked. Therefore, onward. Mindfulness is practicing taking control of our mind versus having our mind and our emotions take control of us. So we had a bunch of homework. Some of the times I did the homework, some of the times I did not do the homework. So right now we're going into a bunch of sheets that were not even, I don't think, oh yeah, these are pros and cons. And some of the homework is in other versions of my notebook because I have like 4 notebooks. 3 of my own, and one of them is one that they gave me special that was nice and neat, so I could take it around, try and get people to take the classes, because, but yeah, that didn't work out. Now I'm just making videos about it to myself. No one will ever listen to me. So, these are some of the homework sheets. We did do this one quite a bit. This one is pros and cons of practicing mindfulness for in a given situation. So the homework was, make a list of the pros and cons of, you picked a situation that you're in, and then you made out this like chart with 4 sections. One of the sections, okay, the top is the pros of staying in mindfulness, or staying mindless, judgmental, ineffective, and or the practice of mindfulness, and the other is cons of staying mindfulness, judgmental, and ineffective, or the practice of mindfulness. So you pick your situation, and you make a list of the pros and cons of practicing mindfulness skills for this situation. You make another list of the pros and cons of not practicing mindfulness skills for the situation, just one situation. Check the facts to be sure that you're correct in your assessment of advantages and disadvantages, and then rate the willingness to practice as 0 equals none and 100 equals very high. Before making the list, whether you want to practice mindfulness skills, and then after making your pros and cons, if you want to practice mindfulness skills, because it's work. This is sort of like a sheet where you can talk yourself into why it would be a good idea to actually go ahead and go through the effort of using the skills. And it gives you a lot of leeway. It's not like a 1 through 5 or 1 through 10. It's like, leaves room, plenty of room for if you want to grow. Doesn't suppress the growth. That's what I'm saying. So fill this worksheet out when you're trying to there's a bunch of bullet marks. Trying to decide whether to work on becoming more mindful of the moments in your life when you're feeling willful, like saying no to letting go of emotion mind or extreme reasonable mind. When you're resisting observing the present moment rather than escaping it or trying to control it. So when you're resisting observing the present moment, and instead what you're doing is escaping or trying to control it. When you're resisting giving up your interpretations of others or yourself, instead, and not doing just describing it. So you should be describing it, just describing it. Instead, and not just describing it, because you're not giving up your interpretations of others or yourself, you're resisting that. So resisting throwing yourself into the flow of the moment by wanting to stand on the outside of it. Resisting giving up your interpretations of others or yourself by not just describing the situation. See, I just think the writing is unfortunate sometimes. It just makes it like harder to grasp the concepts. I feel like someone could edit this in some way. Not saying that with disrespect to the materials. I just feel like they're written in such a confusing way that I remember the teachers when we would go through class, every single time it was like we were all just confused. Like, what are they trying to say here? Okay. Another reason you would want to fill out this worksheet is when you're feeling threatened, whenever you think of letting go of judgments, or not in the mood for being effective instead of proving you're right. When you're filling out this worksheet, think about these questions. Is a mindless life in your best interest? Like, is it effective or not in your best interest? Or not in your best interest? Like, is it ineffective? Will refusing to go into wise mind solve a problem or make a new problem for you? Is observing the moment without reacting to it immediately likely to increase your freedom or decrease it? Is being attached to your thoughts instead of the facts you can describe useful or not? Is staying judgmental helping you change the things you want to change or getting in the way? Is it more important to be effective or to be right? So, then you've got your situation. Like, just say that the situation is, I don't know, I can't figure out being judgmental right at the moment. I don't interact with people enough right at the moment to even have anything really to say about being, like, say the situation is that you're driving. Let's just say you're driving, because I do drive sometimes when my car is running. And, like, you're on the freeway, and, yeah, I can't even, I just don't even, I'm too tired, but I don't feel like being judgmental. It's too much emotional exhaustion right now. I don't like this. Sorry, figure it out. It's a hard worksheet, but the pros and cons. So you just set it up, like, if you use skills and you handle the situation skillfully, or if you just kind of wig out and handle the situation however it happens. Let your emotions rule the day. If someone irritates you, you punch them in the face. It's not very skillful. I mean, most instances that's going to get you hauled off to some place that you don't want to be hauled off for, incarcerated, or something. And not all situations, but so sometimes it would be more mindful. I don't know. I mean, I guess some situations you wouldn't want to talk. You would just want to punch somebody in your face. So then you just, like, maybe take time and fill this out. Be like, just a moment, I'm going to be right back. Let me see if it's in my best interest to knock you out with my fist or with some other form, or to just walk away from the situation. That's sarcasm. A little bit of sarcasm. Alright. Let's do one more, and then let's not do one more. Mindfulness core skills practice. So this one, you've got two situations that you're going to do the same thing to in each situation. So you're going to pick a situation, like a who, what, when, and where, and then you're going to choose some mindfulness core skills to practice in the situation to bring yourself away from using, like, a target behavior or an out of control behavior, or just to try and help you pick a better choice. So the skills that you might choose to use are wise mind, observation, description, participation, non-judgmentally, one mindfully, and effectively. So let's say the situation is that there's just a ton of dishes. Everybody in your household has been using these dishes, but now you need to make dinner, otherwise there's going to be no dinner for your kids, and there's dishes all over the place, no one's home. So either you can, like, make a crappy dinner, or you can not make any dinner at all, or you can wash the dishes. And it depends. Like, what's the situation? How would you use wise mind in this situation? Well, maybe you would think, like, okay, is it more important that I get my kids fed a nutritious dinner in this instant, or is it more important that they learn the lesson that if they don't participate in our family life, then by doing the dishes, then I get home and there's no choice. I only have time to do the dishes, but I don't have time to actually make dinner before bed, so they get, cold cereal for bed, for dinner, or whatever, dry cereal. I mean, make it really rude. I saw someone say buttermilk cereal. I was like, ugh. But it would be healthier than dry cereal. So you could do that. Then you got wise minds, so you observe the situation. Is there a way that you can make dinner and leave the dishes and add to it, and they can do them later? Like, whose job is it to do the dishes anyways? And participate in this situation by doing whatever you decide to do, whatever needs to be done the most. If you decide, well, I really need to get this dinner made, like maybe you got mushrooms that are going bad in the refrigerator and you're like, I just really have to get them used up, then you would have to do the dishes, at least to the point where you got a pan that you can cook the mushrooms in. So one, mind non-judgmentally, I guess that would be where you didn't, be like, God, my kids are so rude not to, have these dishes done, or if you're the husband, my wife is so rude not to have these dishes done, or whoever, and just, non-judgmentally just be like, the dishes are not done, and I need to make the dishes, make the dinner. So-and-so was supposed to do the dishes, and they did not do the dishes. That way you're not putting on so-and-so didn't do the dishes just to make sure that I had a hard time getting dinner made today, or, so-and-so didn't do the dishes just because they're lazy or whatever. It just be like, then you just notice the situation. And, anyway, so that would be it. And then describe the experience of using the skill. Did it help diffuse the situation? Did it reduce your emotional trauma? Did it reduce suffering, decrease reactivity, increase connection to your life, increase happiness, increase wisdom, increase a sense of your personal validity? Did it increase your ability to focus, or increase experiencing the present moment? Did it increase any other beneficial aspect in life? Did it decrease any other negative aspect of the situation? So that's that worksheet. And I've met my little let's participate in life in some way goal today by doing my little 5 participation videos in a row without interrupting my flow by getting distracted with the press conference, although I did keep it in mind that it's now no longer live. I missed it live, and yet I was not distracted by it, and so I maintained effectiveness. Was it the best effective? I don't know. Maybe the press conference had some news, like I should have been putting on some kind of gas mask or something, because a factory had an explosion. We did actually, that happened one time in a place where I lived. The metal factory had an explosion, and then there was an emergency broadcast, but I was out riding my bike in the air and didn't get the broadcast that we were supposed to be in the windows, inside with all the windows shut and the doors shut. And then over the course of the next, few weeks, everywhere I rode my bike, there was just dead bird bodies. The birds must have just been flying, and all of a sudden they just died while they were flying and fell down. They were just everywhere. Not just bird bodies, but especially bird bodies. So it's a pretty toxic situation. But these things happen. It's actually, I think, the 4th time that it had happened recently at that metal production place. So yeah, alright. I've met my little participation goal. I participated in my experience in creating an experience of some kind, even though it's a very solitary experience. It's still materials that, if I was a tyrant, I would have bossed people into the classes already a long time ago. I'd be like one of those people that are like, oh my god, you're going to put us in FEMA camps. No, but I'll go in there if I want. I mean, if people want me to. I feel like I've been put in a FEMA camp my whole life. So here I am being willful, solitary.